Hi guys, so as many of you will know, the final Battle for Neighborville update is now live, and with it came possibly the largest balance patch and character rework the game has ever seen. Many characters have been given additional abilities, utility, and almost every upgrade has been altered in some way to make them more meaningful. In today's video I am going to be going over all of the balance patch highlights, meaning I've gone through the massive changelog and picked out everything that had a significant impact on the characters themselves. This includes new abilities and upgrade changes. As usual, just before we begin, remember to hit those like and subscribe buttons if you enjoy the content on this channel and want to help it grow. Anyway, let's get started. Now we're going to start off with all the changes to the plants, but just before we do, as you can see on screen now, I have created a little summary of all the highlights, so feel free to pause the video if you want a quick overview. So first let's take a look at Nightcap, who overall feels more agile and the speed of her primary weapon has been increased. But one of the biggest changes to her is that her shadow sneak has a bit more utility. So you can now reload and use the casting shadows ability whilst using shadow sneak, meaning when you are invisible you actually are able to do something other than just run away. I found this super useful and is great to confuse your enemies. Then she has a few upgrade changes that are worthy of note, including a rework to Shadow Sling. So instead of receiving a speed boost after coming out of Shadow Sneak, you now get a mini warp when the ability is activated. Finally, the Shadow Tribute upgrade now gives you a single charge of Shadow Sneak after earning a Vanquish. Next we have Chomper, who only has one thing worth mentioning, apart from all of his bug fixes of course, is that the Hot Rod upgrade now only costs 2 upgrade points instead of 3, and whilst digesting a zombie you can move at regular speed. There is no longer a movement speed penalty. Snapdragon also got some additional upgrade benefits. The campfire perk now spawns a column of fire wherever your enemy was vanquished every time instead of every third vanquish. Also, the ventilation upgrade now decreases the refresh timer on all abilities. Moving on to Cactus, so potato mines have been given a buff. Instead of being able to place up to 4 mines on the ground at one time, this has now been up to 6. So zombies, you better watch out. Also, if you zoom whilst using Petal Propeller, it cancels the ability. This prevents you from being completely vulnerable whilst the ability is active. Citron's EM Peach has received some additional effects too, so it can now interrupt both Super Brains' Turbo Twister and Imp's Imp Carter. On to Acorn and Oak. So the Lumber Support ability, which is the heal ability Acorn can use when teamed up with an Oak, now applies armor to both Acorn and Oak whilst the effect is active. The second notable change is that hilariously, when using the Slap Back upgrade, Oak can now launch himself using Super Sap Trap. Sunflower's biggest change is to the Stuffy Sundrop upgrade, which now makes the Sundrop spawn on Sunflower instead of the victim. This is also based on damage dealt now, not getting a Vanquish. Now we're going to talk about Rose, who had an insane buff to her primary weapon. The projectile speed of Magic Thistles has gone from 120 to 250. That's right, the speed of her Magic Thistles has more than doubled. Also, Goatify has been given some additional effects. When inside the giant goat area, Wizard will be unable to use Co-Star and Electric Slide will be unable to use Outer Fight. Enemies will no longer be able to interact in this area either. The final one for plants is Wildflower, but I will include TV Head here too. So not only have both of these characters gained a new melee attack that does 50 damage, both Dandelion and Yeti Imp have had a damage nerf. Instead of 125 damage, they do 110. Now that's everything for plants, meaning it's zombies' turn. As before, please feel free to pause the video if you want to read this quick overview. So Foot Soldier has had a change to the sticky upgrade, but doesn't actually affect Foot Soldier himself. Any player who is hit with sticky will no longer be completely blinded. They will still be able to see spotting icons and enemy health bars. Next we have Imp, who has probably had some of the most significant changes. First off, the Z-Mech can now sprint. Like what? And to make it even better, the mech's run animation is that of a gorilla or monkey, so from now on it should be known as the Harambe mech. The mech also now has 15% armor. Then Imp Carter also has some nice changes. It can now be activated in air, but also if you use the Centripetal Force upgrade you will be able to jump whilst using Imp Carter. Moving across to regular Super Brains, he has a small but useful change to his shield. Its position and angle has been adjusted to give you a little bit more protection from above. Another character that has had some significant adjustment is AllStar. His dummy shield has been given an additional 100 health from 200 to 300, so it will last a bit longer. But the largest change is to the tennis skills upgrade, which to me now feels like it's an essential upgrade. So when equipped, this will completely remove the speed penalty when using his primary weapon. So when shooting, for example, you can now move at jogging speed. This gives AllStar so much more agility and freedom when it comes to movement. Not only this, tennis skills also allows you to jump whilst priming and firing, so Pea Shooter is no longer the only character who can bunny hop. Next on the list is Engineer, whose bullhorn swarm has been balanced. The swarm's homing will now be improved when multiple targets are nearby, so it won't just target one player. But the horn size has been increased so they are easier to spot and shoot. Also, the progress report upgrade now reveals enemies through obstacles. Another character who has received significant change is 80's action hero. The bow blaster has received a slight nerf, the projectile speed has been decreased, and it takes longer to charge the shot. Rocket Ride has had a great change as it has an accuracy improvement, but more importantly, you can now move whilst using it, so you are not quite so much of a sitting duck. As well as this, you can now use Dynamite Dodge to interrupt and escape from Rocket Ride. The final character balance highlight is for Electric Slide's malfunction upgrade, which will now always activate when reloading. It's no longer a 40% chance or whatever it was before. Anyway guys, that's about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think of these balancing highlights in the comments below. But other than that, remember to subscribe and I shall see you in the next one. Okay, thanks guys. Bye. Bye.